The alarm bells echoed through Kepler Station like thunder in a metal cave. Admiral Jake Morrison jumped from his chair and ran toward the command center. His boots made loud sounds on the steel floor as dozens of officers rushed around him. Something big was happening and everyone knew it. Lieutenant Pete Johnson stood at the main console with his eyes wide open. His hands shook as he pointed at the large screen showing space around the station. A green dot blinked in the darkness where nothing should exist. The sensors showed a ship coming toward them, but the readings made no sense. Jake grabbed Pete by the shoulder and looked at the screen. The ship was moving fast, but not too fast. What made his heart race was the identification signal. The computer kept saying the same thing over and over. USS Endeavour, registration number NX2847. But that was impossible. The Endeavour had vanished 15 years ago. Jake remembered that day clearly because he was just a young captain then. The ship had gone beyond the galactic rim on an exploration mission. They were supposed to check some strange energy readings that Earth scientists had detected. The mission should have taken 6 months. After 2 years with no contact, Earth Command declared the ship and its 43 crew members lost. Jake had known Captain Lisa Bennett personally. She was smart and brave and never took unnecessary risks. If something happened to her ship, it must have been something terrible. Jake had attended the memorial service for all 43 crew members. He still kept their names on a list in his desk drawer, but now the sensors showed the Endeavour approaching Kepler Station like nothing had ever happened. The ship looked exactly the same as it did 15 years ago. No damage, no signs of age, no changes at all. It was like someone had taken a picture of the ship and brought it to life. Communications Officer Helen Barnes tried to contact the approaching vessel. Her voice carried across the command center as she spoke into her headset. "Unidentified vessel, this is Kepler Station. Please identify yourself and state your intentions." The response came immediately and it made everyone freeze. The voice was clear and familiar. "Kepler Station. This is Captain Lisa Bennett of the USS Endeavour requesting immediate docking clearance. We have urgent business with High Command." Jake felt his legs go weak. Lisa's voice sounded exactly the same as 15 years ago. Not older, not changed, not affected by whatever had happened to her ship. He grabbed the communications panel and spoke directly. "Lisa, this is Jake Morrison. Do you copy?" There was a pause before she answered. "Jake? My God, you made Admiral. Congratulations, we need to talk immediately. I know this situation must seem impossible, but I promise everything will make sense soon." The Endeavour moved closer to the station, and Jake could see it clearly through the main viewing window. The ship looked perfect. Too perfect. Space travel always left marks on a vessel. Tiny impacts from space dust, wear from radiation, small repairs that changed the original design. But the Endeavour looked like it had just left Earth's shipyard yesterday. Jake ordered the docking bay prepared and called for a full security team. He also sent emergency messages to Earth Command and the other human colonies. Something this strange needed immediate attention from the highest levels of government. As the Endeavour docked, Jake noticed something else unusual. The ship's energy readings were off the charts. The sensors showed power levels that exceeded anything in the human fleet. The quantum drive signatures looked completely different from standard Earth technology. Whatever had happened to the Endeavour, it had changed the ship in fundamental ways. The docking clamps locked into place and Jake waited in the arrival bay with 20 security officers. The airlock opened with a soft hiss and Captain Lisa Bennett stepped through. She looked exactly the same as 15 years ago. Same brown hair, same blue eyes, same confident smile. She wore a standard Earth Fleet uniform, but Jake noticed small differences. The fabric looked different somehow, more advanced. Behind Lisa came her crew. Jake recognized many faces from the memorial photos. Engineering Chief Ryan Clark, Communications Officer Amy Rodriguez, Medical Officer Dr. Kate Sullivan. All of them looked unchanged by time. All of them carried themselves with a new confidence that Jake had never seen before. Lisa walked up to Jake and extended her hand. When he shook it, he felt a strange tingle, like touching something with a small electrical charge. Her grip was firm and warm and completely real. "Hello, Jake. I know you have questions and I promise to answer them all. But first we need somewhere private to talk. What I have to tell you will change everything about humanity's place in this galaxy." Jake led the group to his private office while the security team escorted the rest of the Endeavour crew to temporary quarters. As they walked through the station corridors, Jake noticed other officers staring at Lisa and her people. Word was already spreading about the impossible return. Kepler Station served as humanity's most advanced outpost on the edge of known space. It also housed embassies from the three major galactic powers. The Corvan Empire maintained a military presence to monitor human activities. The Zephyrian Collective had scientists studying human technology development. The ancient Valdris hegemony kept observers to ensure humans stayed within their designated space. Jake knew that all three embassies would hear about the endeavor within hours. The return of a lost human ship with impossible technology would create immediate interest and possible concern. The galactic powers had very specific ideas about humanity's role in the galaxy, and they did not appreciate surprises. In his office, Jake offered Lisa a chair and poured 2 cups of coffee. She accepted the coffee but remained standing. She walked to the large window that showed the vast star field beyond the station. Jake, what I'm about to tell you will sound impossible. 15 years ago, our ship was pulled through an unstable wormhole. We ended up in a place that shouldn't exist according to everything we know about the galaxy. We found something there that changes everything about who we are and where we come from. Lisa turned from the window and looked directly at Jake. Her eyes held secrets and knowledge that seemed too large for one person to carry. We found other humans. Jake, humans who left Earth 50,000 years ago. Humans who have been watching us ever since. And they are not happy about how the galaxy has been treating their distant cousins. Jake stared at Lisa for a long moment without speaking. Other humans who left Earth 50,000 years ago. The words seemed impossible, but Lisa's serious expression told him she was not joking. He sat down heavily in his chair and tried to process what she had just said. That's impossible, Lisa. 50,000 years ago, humans were barely using stone tools. We didn't have space travel or any advanced technology. Lisa smiled and walked back to his desk. She placed a small device on the surface that Jake had never seen before. It looked like a crystal cube with strange symbols flowing inside it. The symbols glowed with soft blue light and seemed to move on their own. Jake, everything we thought we knew about human history is wrong. The people we met call themselves the Terran Collective. They showed us records that go back much further than Earth's history books. Humans have been in space for far longer than we ever imagined. Jake reached toward the device but stopped when it began to hum softly. The symbols inside moved faster and the blue light grew brighter. Lisa noticed his hesitation and nodded. It's safe to touch. This is a memory storage device. It contains everything we learned during our time with the Collective. But I need to explain the basics first before you can understand what you'll see. Lisa began to pace around the office as she spoke. Her movements were different now, more fluid and confident than Jake remembered. Something about her time with these other humans had changed her in fundamental ways. The wormhole took us to a galaxy far from here. When we arrived, our ship was badly damaged and we thought we were going to die. Then ships appeared around us. Ships unlike anything we had ever seen. They were beautiful and powerful and clearly far beyond our technology. Jake listened carefully as Lisa described first contact with the beings who rescued them. She explained how the collective ships had surrounded the Endeavor and used some kind of beam to repair all the damage instantly. The human crew had been terrified until they received a communication in perfect English. The message said, "Welcome home, distant cousins. We have been waiting for you." When we boarded their ships, we met humans who looked just like us but were clearly far more advanced. They knew about Earth and about our species' development. They had been watching us for thousands of years. Lisa stopped pacing and looked directly at Jake. Her expression was serious and urgent. Jake, they call Earth humans their younger siblings. They left our planet during the last ice age when the population was very small. A group of humans with advanced knowledge decided to leave Earth and explore the galaxy. They wanted to give the remaining humans time to develop naturally. The story sounded like science fiction, but Jake could see that Lisa believed every word. She had always been practical and skeptical about unusual claims. If she said these things happened, then something extraordinary had occurred. Lisa picked up the crystal device and held it carefully in both hands. The symbols inside moved faster and the humming sound grew louder. The Collective has been seeding galaxies with life for tens of thousands of years. They have technology that makes our most advanced systems look like primitive tools. But Jake, that's not the most important thing they told us. Jake felt his heart racing as Lisa paused. Whatever she was about to say would be even more shocking than what she had already revealed. They have been watching this galaxy for the last 5,000 years. They know about the Corvan Empire, the Zephyrian Collective, and the Valdris hegemony. They know how these species treat humans and they are not happy about it. Jake thought about humanity's position in the galaxy. Humans were considered a young and weak species by the major powers. They were given small territories and limited rights. Human colonies served mainly as buffer zones between the empires and sources of basic labor. The collective considers the treatment of Earth humans to be an insult to their entire species. They view the galactic empires as bullies, who have been taking advantage of their distant family members. Lisa placed the crystal device back on Jake's desk and sat down across from him. Her expression was both excited and worried. Before we left their galaxy, the collective made modifications to our ship. They gave us technology that shouldn't be possible according to current galactic science. They also gave us a message to deliver to human leadership. Jake picked up the crystal device and felt a strange warmth in his hands. The symbols inside seemed to respond to his touch by moving in new patterns. What kind of modifications? Lisa smiled and called for her engineering chief Ryan Clark over the intercom. Within minutes, Ryan entered the office carrying a small metallic device that looked like nothing Jake had ever seen. It was smooth and curved with no visible controls or displays. Admiral Morrison, this is a matter reorganizer. Watch carefully. Ryan placed the device on Jake's desk next to a metal paperweight. He touched the smooth surface of the device and it began to glow with the same blue light as the crystal. The paperweight started to change shape right in front of Jake's eyes. The metal flowed like water and reformed into a perfect sphere, then a cube, then a complex geometric pattern. Jake jumped back from his desk as the paperweight continued changing shapes. The metal was moving without heat or tools or any visible force. Ryan touched the device again and the paperweight returned to its original form. This is basic collective technology, Admiral. Our ship now has systems that operate on principles that current galactic science hasn't discovered yet. Our shields can stop any known weapon. Our engines can travel distances that should be impossible. Our computers can process information faster than entire planetary networks. Jake sat back down slowly and stared at the paperweight. If Ryan could reshape metal with a handheld device, what could their ship do with full collective technology? Lisa, if you have this kind of technology, why did you come back? You could explore the entire galaxy with power like this. Lisa's expression became serious again and she leaned forward in her chair. Because Jake, the collective didn't just send us back with technology. They sent us back with a message. They are coming to this galaxy and they want to meet with the powers that have been treating humans badly. The collective fleet left their galaxy 3 days after we did. They will arrive here in 6 days. Jake felt the blood drain from his face as he realized what Lisa was telling him. An advanced human civilization with impossible technology was coming to confront the galactic empires. The political balance that had existed for centuries was about to change forever. The emergency council meeting began 3 hours after Lisa's revelation. Jake sat at the head of the conference table with representatives from Earth Command joining by hologram. General Paul Carter appeared as a flickering blue image while Director Susan Hayes participated. From Luna Base, the room felt tense as Jake explained everything Lisa had told him. Let me understand this correctly, General Carter said, through the hologram projector. Captain Bennett claims that an advanced human civilization is coming to our galaxy in 6 days to confront the galactic empires about their treatment of Earth humans. Jake nodded and gestured toward Lisa, who sat beside him. She had brought the crystal memory device and Ryan's matter reorganizer to demonstrate the truth of her claims. The technology sat on the table like evidence from another world. General, I've seen their technology myself. What they can do is beyond anything in our current understanding. If they're really coming here, we need to prepare for major changes in galactic politics. Director Hayes leaned forward in her holographic form. Her expression showed deep concern mixed with excitement. Admiral Morrison, have you considered the possibility that this could be some kind of elaborate deception? The timing seems very convenient. Just when humanity needs a miracle, a lost ship returns with claims of powerful allies. Lisa picked up the matter reorganizer and activated it. The device glowed with blue light as she demonstrated its power on a piece of scrap metal from Jake's desk. The metal flowed and reformed into complex shapes that would be impossible to create with normal technology. The holographic observers watched in stunned silence. Director Hayes, I understand your skepticism, but this technology is real and the collective is real. They showed us records of galactic history that go back much further than any of our archives. They know things about the empires that we've never discovered. As if summoned by their conversation, Alarms began sounding throughout Kepler Station. Communications Officer Helen Barnes burst into the conference room with a look of panic on her face. "Admiral, we're receiving urgent communications from all 3 embassy ships. The Corvan Empire, the Zephyrian Collective, and the Valdris Hegemony are all demanding immediate meetings about the returned vessel." Jake felt his stomach drop as he realized the situation was escalating faster than expected. The galactic powers had been monitoring human communications and probably knew about the Endeavor's impossible technology. News like this would spread quickly through diplomatic channels. What are they saying exactly? Helen consulted her datapad with shaking hands. The Corvan military attaché General Thakvar is demanding inspection rights for the Endeavor under galactic security protocols. The Zephyrian science coordinator Vel9 wants immediate access to study the ship's technology. Ambassador Morveth from the Valdris Hegemony is requesting emergency diplomatic discussions. Lisa stood up from the table and looked at Jake with determination in her eyes. "Jake, this is exactly what the Collective warned us about. They said the empires would react with fear and aggression when confronted with technology they couldn't understand or control." General Carter's hologram flickered as he leaned closer to his camera. "Captain Bennett, what exactly did this collective tell you about their intentions toward the galactic empires?" Lisa paused for a moment before answering. Her expression showed that she was choosing her words carefully. "They said that the current treatment of Earth humans violates ancient agreements that were made long before the empires existed. They consider the galactic powers to be temporary civilizations that have forgotten their place in the larger cosmic order." The implications of Lisa's words hit everyone in the room at the same time. If the collective viewed the mighty galactic empires as temporary and unimportant, then their arrival would change everything about known civilization. Director Hayes spoke first. "Captain Bennett, are you saying that this collective considers itself superior to the Corvan Empire, the Zephyrian Collective, and the Valdris Hegemony combined?" "I'm saying that they view these empires the way we might view children playing with toys they don't understand. The Collective has been managing galactic development for tens of thousands of years. They seed planets with life, guide species evolution, and maintain cosmic balance." Jake felt overwhelmed by the scale of what Lisa was describing. Humanity had always struggled to find its place among the galactic powers. Now they were learning that there was an even higher level of civilization that controlled everything from behind the scenes. Another alarm sounded and Helen Barnes returned to the conference room. Her face was pale and her hands were shaking more than before. "Admiral, we're detecting massive fleet movements from all 3 empires. Long-range sensors show Corvan battle groups moving toward human space. Zephyrian science vessels are mobilizing from their home systems. The Valdris Hegemony is activating ships that have been dormant for centuries." General Carter's holographic image stood up abruptly. "Admiral Morrison, we need to mobilize Earth's defense fleets immediately. If the empires are moving against us, we need to be ready for war." Jake looked at the faces around the table and realized that humanity was facing the biggest crisis in its galactic history. The empires commanded thousands of ships while Earth's fleet numbered only in the hundreds. In a direct military confrontation, humanity would be destroyed within days. Lisa placed her hand on Jake's shoulder and spoke quietly but firmly. "Jake, the collective gave us one more piece of technology before we left. They installed a quantum communicator in the Endeavor that can reach them instantly across any distance. I can contact them right now and tell them about the Empire fleet movements." Jake thought carefully about their options. Contacting an unknown alien power might save humanity, or it might make the situation worse. But with 3 galactic empires mobilizing against them, they might not have any other choice. "Lisa, what exactly would happen if you contact the collective?" Lisa walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Her reflection showed a woman who had seen wonders beyond imagination, but also carried the weight of terrible knowledge. They would know that their timeline has moved up. Instead of arriving in 6 days for peaceful negotiations, they might decide to come immediately to protect their distant family members. Director Hayes spoke through the hologram with urgency in her voice. "Captain Bennett, would the collective actually fight the galactic empires to protect Earth humans?" Lisa turned from the window and looked directly at the holographic image. "Director, the collective doesn't fight wars the way we understand them. They simply make violence impossible through technological superiority. When they arrive, the rules that govern galactic civilization will change permanently." Jake made his decision and stood up from the conference table. Lisa, make the call. Lisa rushed to the Endeavor with Jake following close behind. The ship's corridors looked familiar, but Jake noticed subtle changes everywhere. The walls seemed to pulse with soft energy and the air felt different, charged with something he couldn't identify. They reached the communications bay where Amy Rodriguez was waiting at a console that looked nothing like standard Earth technology. Amy, we need to contact the Collective immediately. The Empire fleets are moving against human space and we're out of time. Amy's hands moved across the strange console with practiced ease. Symbols appeared on screens that seemed to float in the air above the controls. The quantum communicator hummed to life with a sound that made Jake's teeth ache. Captain, the connection is establishing. This might take a few minutes since we're reaching across multiple galaxies. Jake watched in fascination as energy patterns flowed through the communicator systems. The technology was so advanced that he couldn't even guess how it worked. Everything about the Collective's modifications to the Endeavor seemed like magic disguised as science. Suddenly, the air in front of the console shimmered and a figure appeared. Jake stepped backward in surprise as a tall human man materialized in the room. The figure was translucent but clearly real, standing calmly with his hands clasped behind his back. Captain Bennett, we were expecting your call sooner than scheduled. I am Elder Marcus Kane of the Terran Collective. Admiral Morrison, it is an honor to finally meet you. Jake stared at the holographic figure in amazement. Elder Kane appeared to be in his 40s with gray hair and kind eyes, but something about his presence suggested enormous age and wisdom. When he spoke, his words seemed to carry weight beyond their meaning. Elder Kane, the galactic empires are mobilizing their fleets against humanity. They're treating our technology as a threat to galactic security. Marcus nodded as if he had expected this news. His expression remained calm, but Jake could see anger flickering in his eyes. Admiral Morrison, the empires are reacting exactly as we predicted they would. For centuries, they have maintained power through technological superiority and military intimidation. The appearance of technology they cannot understand or control threatens their entire worldview. Jake found his voice despite being overwhelmed by the situation. Elder Kane, can the Collective help us? Earth's fleets are no match for the combined Empire forces. Marcus smiled gently and gestured with his hand. As he moved, reality seemed to bend around him in ways that hurt Jake's eyes to watch. Admiral, the Collective migration fleet changed course 3 hours ago when we detected the Empire movements. We will arrive at your location in 18 hours rather than 6 days. The Empires will learn that some technologies cannot be conquered or controlled. The holographic image flickered as Marcus turned to address Lisa directly. Captain Bennett, you and your crew have done exactly what we hoped. You have given Earth humanity advance warning and demonstrated our commitment to protecting our distant family members. Now you will witness the beginning of a new galactic age. Amy Rodriguez looked up from her console with excitement and worry mixed on her face. Elder Kane, what should we tell the Empire representatives? They're demanding immediate meetings and inspection rights. Marcus considered the question for a moment before answering. His expression became serious and his voice carried subtle authority. Tell them that their requests have been noted and will be addressed when appropriate parties arrive to discuss galactic governance changes. Use those exact words. Jake felt confused by the formal language, but Lisa nodded as if she understood perfectly. Elder Kane, what exactly will happen when the Collective arrives? Marcus turned his attention back to Jake, and his presence seemed to fill the entire room, despite being only a holographic projection. Admiral Morrison, the Collective does not wage war in the traditional sense. We simply restore natural order to situations that have become unbalanced. When we arrive, certain technologies will stop functioning in this system. What kind of technologies? Marcus smiled again, but this time Jake saw something ancient and powerful behind the expression. Weapons, Admiral Morrison. All weapons designed to harm intelligent life will simply cease to function. Ships will retain life support and movement capabilities, but aggressive systems will be neutralized permanently. Jake realized what Marcus was describing and felt his mind struggling to accept it. The Collective possessed technology that could disable weapons across an entire star system selectively. Such power was beyond anything the galactic empires could imagine or counter. Elder Kane, won't the empires view that as an act of war? Admiral, you cannot declare war on gravity or argue with the laws of physics. The Collective operates on principles that transcend normal political concepts. We are not invaders or conquerors. We are gardeners tending to cosmic development. Lisa stepped forward and addressed Marcus directly. Elder Kane, what happens to humanity after this? Do we join the collective or remain independent? Marcus looked at Lisa with something that might have been paternal pride. Captain Bennett, that choice belongs entirely to Earth humanity. The collective offers protection and gradual technological advancement. But we have learned that forced evolution creates weak civilizations. Your species must choose its own path forward. The holographic image began to fade as Marcus prepared to end the communication. Admiral Morrison, prepare your people for significant changes. The galactic empires have ruled through fear and superior firepower for too long. When the collective arrives, we will demonstrate that there are higher forms of civilization based on wisdom rather than violence. Jake wanted to ask dozens more questions, but Marcus was already disappearing. Elder Kane, how will we recognize your arrival? Marcus paused in his fading and smiled one last time. Admiral, when the collective arrives, every intelligent being in the system will know it. We do not announce ourselves with fanfare or displays of force. We simply become present and reality adjusts accordingly. The hologram vanished completely, leaving Jake and Lisa standing in the communications bay with Amy Rodriguez. The quantum communicator powered down with a soft whisper of energy dissipating. Jake looked at Lisa with a mixture of excitement and terror. Lisa, what have we just set in motion? Lisa walked to the viewing port and looked out at the stars surrounding Kepler Station. Jake, we've just changed the course of galactic history. In 18 hours, the balance of power that has existed for centuries will be completely overturned. The empires will learn that they were never really in control. Jake joined her at the viewing port and watched Empire fleet ships moving into positions around human space. Hundreds of vessels from 3 different civilizations were preparing for what they thought would be a simple police action against troublesome humans. Lisa, do you think the collective will really be able to do what Marcus promised? Lisa turned from the window and looked at Jake with absolute certainty in her eyes. Jake, I've seen what they can do. When the collective arrives, the empires will discover that all their weapons and all their fleets are nothing more than elaborate toys in the hands of forces they never knew existed. 18 hours later, Jake stood in the main observation deck of Kepler Station watching the Empire fleets position themselves around human space. 300 Corvin warships formed attack formations, while 200 Zephyrian science vessels prepared their energy weapons. The ancient Valdris hegemony had awakened 50 massive dreadnoughts that had been sleeping for centuries. The combined firepower could destroy every human settlement in the galaxy. General Thakvar had demanded surrender of the Endeavor and all its crew within 1 hour. Science Coordinator Vel 9 insisted that human possession of unknown technology violated galactic safety protocols. Ambassador Morvith spoke of ancient laws that required immediate intervention when reality-threatening artifacts appeared. Lisa stood beside Jake at the viewing window. Neither of them spoke as they watched the Empire fleets move into final positions. The moment of truth was approaching, and Jake felt his heart pounding with anticipation and fear. Admiral Morrison, incoming transmission from the Corvin flagship, Helen Barnes announced from the communications station. Jake activated the main screen and General Thakvar appeared. The Corvin military leader looked exactly like his species always did. Tall, gray-skinned with 4 arms and eyes that glowed red with anger. Human Admiral, you have one final opportunity to surrender the vessel and its crew. Failure to comply will result in the complete destruction of this station and all human settlements in this sector. Jake took a deep breath and looked at Lisa. She nodded encouragingly, and Jake turned back to face the screen. General Thakvar, I respectfully decline your demands. The USS Endeavor is a human vessel, operating under Earth authority, and we will not surrender our people to foreign powers. Thakvar's red eyes flared brighter as he heard Jake's refusal. Then, you have chosen destruction over wisdom, human. All Empire fleets prepare to attack on my command. The screen went dark, and Jake watched through the viewing window as hundreds of ships powered up their weapon systems. Energy readings spiked across the station's sensors as the 3 Empire fleets prepared to fire simultaneously. Jake, it's time, Lisa said quietly. Jake was about to ask what she meant when the stars themselves seemed to change. Space around Kepler Station began to shimmer like heat waves rising from hot pavement. The effect spread outward in all directions until it encompassed the entire system. Then reality shifted. Jake felt the change in his bones before he saw it with his eyes. The universe suddenly felt different, more structured, more controlled. The chaotic nature of space was replaced by something that hummed with invisible order and purpose. The Empire fleets tried to fire their weapons, and nothing happened. Energy readings flatlined across every ship simultaneously. Weapons that had been charged and ready to destroy simply stopped working. Not damaged, not overloaded, just completely inert, as if they had never been designed to function. Through the viewing window, Jake saw something impossible approaching the station. It wasn't a ship in any sense he understood. It was a living construct the size of a small moon, grown rather than built, pulsing with organic energy patterns that hurt to look at directly. The surface appeared to be made of crystalline biological material that shifted and flowed like a breathing organism. "My God," Jake whispered as more constructs appeared around the first one. 5 massive living ships materialized from nothing, each one unique but clearly part of the same incredible technology. The largest construct positioned itself near Kepler Station, and Jake felt a presence wash over him like warm sunlight. When Elder Marcus Kane spoke, his voice was heard simultaneously by every intelligent being in the system, not through communication systems but directly in their minds in whatever language they understood best. "Citizens of this galaxy, I am Elder Marcus Kane of the Terran Collective. We have come to restore balance to a situation that has grown beyond acceptable parameters." Jake looked around the observation deck and saw his crew members responding to Marcus's mental voice. Some looked frightened while others seemed amazed by the experience. The species known as humans are our distant cousins, members of our extended family who remained on their birth world while we explored the galaxy. Their treatment by the current galactic powers violates agreements that predate your civilizations by thousands of years. On the main screen, Jake could see panicked communications between the Empire fleets. Ship commanders were trying desperately to understand why their weapons had stopped working. Engineering teams reported that their systems were intact, but simply refused to function. Marcus's voice continued with calm authority that seemed to bend reality around his words. "The age of empire based on military intimidation is ending. Violence is no longer possible in systems where the collective maintains presence. Ships retain all capabilities necessary for life and peaceful movement, but aggressive technologies have been permanently neutralized." Jake watched as General Thakvar appeared on multiple screens throughout the station. The Corvan leader was screaming orders at his officers who could only report that their weapons were completely dead. Science. Coordinator Vel9 was running complex scans on the collective constructs and finding readings that exceeded every theoretical maximum in Zephyrian science. Ambassador Morveth sat in stunned silence as he realized that the legends in his people's oldest archives were coming true. Marcus materialized physically on the observation deck. No longer a hologram but a real presence that made the air around him feel thick with possibility. Jake noticed that crew members throughout the station were gathering to witness the historic moment. "Admiral Morrison, the collective offers Earth humanity a choice. You may join our civilization and gain access to technologies beyond your current imagination, or you may remain independent with our protection while you develop naturally." Jake looked at Lisa, and then at his crew members who had gathered around them. The weight of choosing humanity's future felt overwhelming. "Elder Kane, what do you recommend?" Marcus smiled with ancient wisdom and gestured toward the stars visible through the viewing window. "Admiral, your species has always succeeded by choosing its own path. The collective grew strong because we maintained our independence while learning from others. Earth humanity should make the same choice." Lisa stepped forward and spoke with confidence. "Elder Kane, humanity chooses independence with collective protection. We want to earn our place in the galaxy through our own efforts." Marcus nodded approvingly and extended his hand toward Jake. "Then it is decided. The collective will establish a permanent presence in this galaxy to ensure peaceful development. The USS Endeavor will become the first vessel in Earth's new exploration fleet, combining human innovation with collective technology." Jake shook Marcus's hand and felt energy flow between them like a promise being sealed. "What happens to the Empire fleets?" Marcus looked out at the hundreds of disabled warships and his expression became thoughtful. "They will be given the same choice offered to all species. Evolve beyond violence and join the galactic community, or remain isolated until they mature enough to participate peacefully." As Jake watched, the Empire fleets began withdrawing from human space. Their weapons were gone forever, but they retained enough dignity to leave under their own power. The galaxy would never be the same.